If you want to make the holidays heteronormative, we'll take that holiday. And then you'll be begging to be invited.
Hi, my name is Peter Knegt, and I'm here with Jinkx Monsoon and BenDeLaCreme, the stars and creators of the Jinkx and DeLa holiday show, which is currently touring across North America. So I cannot believe that I'm here with two of the most iconic drag queens on the planet. And also during the time of year when you're both at the height of your powers, the holidays.
Yes, this is when we manifest our true...
we fuse together.
Yeah.
Look at this. We got our nails done
it's
just
true.
for the occasion.
Yes. Yes. Jinx's witchcraft and my power to manifest Santa.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking some time during obviously a very busy time of year. You're both on tour with the Jinkx and DeLa holiday show. Well, I wondered if you might go back a little bit, DeLa, and tell sort of the nativity story, as it were, of this show. Because I believe it began with you.
Well, Jinx was born in a pile of hay and
I wasn't
in a
born
barn.
in a manger, but I was conceived in a church parking lot.
Me too.
You too?
Yeah.
It's a popular place.
It's a very popular
apparently.
place, yeah.
You're not the first I've met.
Well, you got to wait till you get out of the church. But but yeah, no, I mean, Jinx and I started doing this this show in 2018, and we've both been doing holiday content for a long time. I had been producing holiday shows in Seattle for 10 years before that. And really the heart of them has always been that I never loved going home for the holidays. Yeah. And I wanted to create a space for people who felt alienated from all the family and homecoming imagery that we get bombarded with at this time of year. And one of those people was me. So, so it started as something small where, 50 sort of weary queers on a cold Christmas Eve, like huddled together. And the response was so good that grew. And then Jinx and I had worked for many years together. She'd been a part of that show for many years. And when that project ended, it was time for us to embark in our own project. And we kind of continued that.
We kind of went like this for a while. And then in 2018, when DeLa proposed the idea of us doing this holiday show. And it was first going to be just a very simple little, let's sit on stage and drink cocktails and talk. And then we'll perform some numbers. It'll be very casual. But that's not really how DeLa tends to do things. And before I knew it, we were creating.
Jinx for doing a fully scripted show.
Yeah. And that has even evolved into what I would call a 2-act musical. There's some original music, there's some parodies, but what I found is our careers has been going like this. Now that they're kind of like this, like I demonstrated earlier with the nails, you see, I don't know. It just brings out the best in each of us. And we're both like experiencing like a very, powerful moment in our artistry, I'd say.
Well, and you have complete control over it. Like you both write it solely and you direct it and you also change it up every year. I feel like all of that is very rare for a show like this, right?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot. I mean, as drag's popularity has increased, I think we've seen less of the thing that both Jinx and I have loved about drag, which is that drag queens have historically been fully in control of everything, right? It's like you have to be good at all of it. You have to just find the way to do it. And you have to, if you want to make a show, you got to scrap together all your resources and it's fully yours. Drag queens are sort of auteurs by nature. And we have had the privilege to get to kind of do that on a larger scale. But with the increased popularity, there's, I think, more people who are like, oh, this is something I can make money off of. And so you see fewer examples of drag queens producing work that really comes from that place of authenticity. And I think it's really, it's reflected in the work. I think it's why audiences respond.
Yeah. As an artist, we are insistent to create stuff that is for the queer community, by members of the queer community. I'd say pretty much like 99% of the people who work on this show are queer. And then it creates that sense of community that, we get to take back out into the world that is scary and dark right now.
Yeah, and also just, Christmas is sort of inherently gay, like the decor, the drag.
Oh, yeah.
But it's also something that's not always, been that sort of inclusive of queer people. Like, I've always been a little resistant as an adult of the spirit of the season because of that very reason. But then shows like yours, and I'm also thinking of, lots of other queer artists and performers, Matt Rogers, for example. I feel like queers are taking back the holidays lately in a way that's giving space for us. And I just want to know what your thoughts are on sort of the power of the holidays when it's like a queer lens that they're sort of going through, which is what both of you are doing.
Well, it's reclamation. I mean, we talk about this a lot on stage, is that, all of the trappings of the holidays, they're either stolen from paganism or queer culture, one or the other, and so, it's really, like all these people who are historically oppressing queer folks, but they're going out there and bursting into song and wearing sparkly sweaters. I mean, come on, you can't have it both ways.
Yeah. And, it's the resilience and I think as soon as you tell the queer community they're not invited to something, it's like, fine, we'll create our own. I just think,
and we'll make it more fun.
I know. It's like,
for sure.
I mean, okay, so like you think about these like Elks Lodges and stuff. Queer people, we created an imperial court system. A worldwide imperial court system with empresses and emperors and princesses. And that's what we do when you exclude us from things. So yeah, if you want to make the holidays heteronormative, we'll take that holiday. And then you'll be begging to be invited.
So the two of you kind of have like an odd couple dynamic on stage, but I also...
What?
Sorry. But I feel like from seeing the show on stage last year and then also the special, I feel like the show is very much about friendship above all else, and that really sort of shines through in a way that I feel like goes against a lot of what we've been fed when it comes to drag in particular. Was that something that was kind of conscious with the two of you in creating these shows?
I'm going to start us off and then I'm going to let her take it because... So it has been a conscious effort of ours to resist the urge to pit two powerful feminine characters against each other. And for years, it was kind of an easy trope and we had a lot of fun doing it. And then DeLa said to me last year that she'd like to start steering away from that because there's enough of that in our community. There's enough of that in the world. To be a feminine personality in the public eye is to be scrutinized and pitted against other feminine personalities. And we've always made our own rules. So we said, let's stop contributing to that and make a new storyline that doesn't do that. And this year, she said, let's really tap into that because the world needs to see it.
Yeah, it's we worked for a long time in just what made sense from the get-go in terms of the characters we've developed on stage, which are very archetypical, and that kind of push and pull of, for folks who haven't seen it, Jinkx is very brash and sexual and boozy on stage and very jaded about the holidays, and I'm very embracing of all these things and really wanting to turn away from the darkness and be bubbly, and like that causes a lot of inner turmoil. And these are things that we can relate to. They're like, those are archetypes that have endured for a reason because we understand them as internal struggles. And I think it's interesting that men can do that on stage because we see them as an everyman. But when female presenting people start to do that, folks start to feed into it. And we saw how people were starting to want to pit us against each other in a way where it's like, no.
That's not
This is about sisterhood. And so, as Jinkx said, we really this year more than ever made it about Jinkx and DeLa, who still have their contrasting personalities that are a lot of fun to see up against each other. But the two of us are sort of on an adventure with an outside sort of
nemesis
that we are working against as a unit.
I can't tell you about the nemesis because it spoils everything. So you have to see the show.
Well, I mean, good for both of you for sort of resisting that and then taking it a step further and hopefully sort of changing the game a little bit. Well, I hope that everyone comes out and sees your hard work on stage. The show, the Jinkx and DeLa Holiday Show, is running through like December 30th?
December 30th, yeah. And we're making our way through many cities in Canada in the coming days and then back through the States. And then we'll be hitting some parts of the west side of Canada at the end of December.
Yeah, and you can, if none of this made sense to you just now, go to jinkxanddela.com. That's jinkxanddela.com.
JINKXANDDELA.com.
Yeah.
I mean, if after all that they still can't figure out how to go to your show, I think that's on them.
Agreed.
Well, thank you so much for stopping by. I know you get so busy and you have a show tonight. I'm really honored and really it's been a joy sitting with both of you.
We're so grateful that you had us. Thank you.
Agree too.